Hey everybody, Kimmel's Irish Pub. Tonight's movie's Braven, as you know. So, a little something I found on DirecTV, you know, every now and you gotta find them somewhere. This stars Jason Momoa, Aquaman. He's also in that one TV show that a lot of people like to watch. I forgot the name of it. Everybody knows that one, but he's Aquaman, which I think is cool. And a lot of people say I kind of look like him from like the neck down. I know you can't tell because of the camera angle, but we look very similar with our shirts off. So you'll have to take my word on it for that. But this is about a logger who has to defend himself and his family from drug runners or something like that. So I don't know that much about it. It's a little synopsis about it, but it seems like a fight for survival kind of thing. They're up in a cabin somewhere. So we'll see a little bit more as I get into it. But look at this. Rotten Tomatoes, 70% from the critics, 81% from the audience, and on IMDb, 6.7. It also stars Jill Wagner, Stephen Lang, names I don't recognize, but faces that I recognize. So you kind of look at them. Garrett Dillahunt as well. All these faces I recognize from different movies. So I'm kind of excited. It seems like I might have found a diamond in the rough there. Not something I was prepared. I looked at DirecTV. Here are some of the movies that they had out. So let's check it out and see what it's like, and I'll let you know. So stick around. I'll be back. All right. Hey everybody. Time for a quick check-in here. Watching Braven. We're at the 51-minute mark. Exactly. No seconds. So it's only an hour and 33-minute movie. Maybe an hour and 34. So not that long of a movie. Starring Jason Momoa, so basically he is a logger, which basically cuts down trees and then loads them up on a truck and takes them somewhere. It seems like he owns the business, the logging business, and it was handed down to him from his father, who lives with him, and he employs truck drivers who drive these drives the lumber wherever, and the beginning is one of his driver has gotten in bed with drug dealers, and basically what it seems like is they hollowed out a log and put a whole bunch of drugs in it. They call it dope. It's white, could be coke, could be heroin. I don't know if it matters, but more than likely heroin. But that's how they're going to sneak these drugs to wherever they're taking them, whether they're going across the border or whatever, which I thought was pretty interesting. I don't know. I'm assuming that people try that. That's a good way to move drugs. But anyway, he goes and he loads up all of the actual lumber. Then he stops somewhere and they load up like 2 more huge logs full of all this, and they're driving. But it's supposed to snow, and they set it up right from the beginning. He's like, if the weather gets bad, I'll just stop and stay at your cabin. The driver says, and of course Jason Momoa says, no, stay away from my cabin. Anyway, they're driving. The weather gets bad. They actually wreck the truck, and they wreck the truck within miles of the cabin. Oddly enough. So they go into the log, they take all the drugs, and what they do is they take the drugs out and hide them in his cabin, and then they go to a hotel and stay and wait for the big boss man to come pick them up and pick up the drugs and take it. Meanwhile, Jason's character, his father seems like he's having memory problems. He had an accident. They allude to the fact that he had an accident and he's having memory problems. So he wants to take him to a home. So he's taking him up to the cabin to have this conversation with him. Meanwhile, the drugs are being hidden there. And to add on top of this, it was just supposed to be him and his father, but his daughter, he has one daughter and a wife, but the wife stayed home. The daughter snuck into the car to go be with them. So of course, adding a little bit more layers of complexity onto the problem. The drug dealers get up there and they're ready to take the drugs back, but then they find out he's there. So they're not just about getting the drugs, they want to get the drugs and kill everybody, essentially is what it is. And so I thought that, that's the plot of the movie. And now they're going on attack to try and kill them and take all the drugs back, and him and his father and his daughter are there at the cabin, so they're going to have to defend themselves somehow, some way. So interesting. I thought it was a pretty interesting concept. So far so good. There's not much more. I just wanted to bring you in on the synopsis of the movie. Game of Thrones, of course, just so nobody thinks I'm an idiot. I know where he's from. He's in Game of Thrones. But I see him as the new Aquaman. So if you haven't seen Justice League yet, make sure you do. I'm a big fan of it, and I want it to succeed, and I really want to see Justice League 2. So if you're interested in my review, click on the up here in the corner, and you can go and see the Justice League review when you're done watching this. So I'll get back into this a little bit more. Sorry for the little plug there, but I'll come back and tell you what I think and see if anything else interesting happens without ruining it for you. So stick around. I'll be back in a bit. Hey everybody, we're at the credits of Braven. Had some potential, but kind of lost it all. You know, the concept was somewhat interesting. I mean, I think we've seen this plot before where some man or you know, husband or father protects his family, sometimes even in the wilderness or in a cabin. There's a lot of different ones out there. None come to mind because they're forgettable. But it's just a good action film. You know, that's what you get out of them. I mean, it's not anything amazing, but you're going to get at least a decent action film. And you got Jason Momoa. So you're thinking, hey, this could be really good. One thing that was interesting to me throughout the film was, like, it not starts off, but in the beginning of the film, there's his father who is going through some mental problems in a bar, gets himself into somewhat of a bar fight, and two guys were, you know, attacking him, and Jason comes in, his character comes into the bar. And you see the size of this guy, and he's just going to clean house, but he doesn't easily win these fights. He does eventually, in the bar, win the fight. But that's an ongoing theme, so I was like, oh, that's interesting. Like, normally in these types of movies, you know, maybe the other guy gets a punch or two in, but otherwise the you know, the hero of the story is always cleaning house, like a Jason Statham and stuff like that. But no, he's losing, you know, a lot of his fights in this, and even comes down to the end, you know, where he's battling the villain, and you know, he's getting beat up pretty bad, which is odd. You know, looking at the size of him, you would think he'd be able to take him out. But again, so I thought that was interesting. But the you know, the plot we've seen many times, and so what they tried to do to make it different was the way that he kind of takes people out. So often in this, as does the drug dealers and their posse are taking over his cabin, you know, he's taking some of them out. So he has an opportunity to bend over and pick up their guns. Now, and they also have one rifle that they were using with bullets. But when he goes to, you know, chase the villain through the woods, he doesn't grab any of the guns. He loads a bag up with a bear trap and a rope. I don't know why he doesn't just grab any gun. There's one laying there. There's one off the guy, you know, laying on the floor. He could have grabbed any and chased him through the woods. He chased him through the woods and sets up this elaborate thing in order to try and, you know, take out the villain. So a little very far-fetched, but I understand, like, you can't just grab the gun and go shoot them, because that would be the same as all the other movies that we've seen. There's also a slight nod that I don't know if it's a nod for them, but it was for me, The Bodyguard. If you see Kevin Costner in The Bodyguard protecting Whitney Houston in the woods, in a cabin, in a, you know, snowy thing, there's a part where he's trying to shoot a guy or something like that, and he's running through the woods, so Kevin Costner closes his eyes just to hear where he is, and then he points and shoots. Well, Jason Momoa does the same thing. He doesn't point and shoot because obviously he has a bag of a rope and a bear trap, but he's trying to figure out where he is, and he closes his eyes. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But all in all, you know, overdone plot and nothing special except for, you know, like they tried to spice it up with these different tricks on how to take people out. One other thing that was the kind of, so as I mentioned, Jason Momoa goes chasing through the woods after the villain, right? Who, you know, has wreaked havoc. His wife has now come. I told you the daughter went up to the cabin, and so now his wife has joined them up at the cabin along with some police. But so they're going into the woods to look for him, you know, like, and the mother brings the daughter on the trip into the woods to look for Jason Momoa, their father and husband, like while he was chasing the villain. So I mean, like, how ridiculous is that? And the cops are leading the way, but they're like Barney Fife. It's just like there's one point where they hear the husband screaming, so she runs past the cop. He just lets her go. It's like, no. First of all, you stay back, stay safe. The cops will go out and find him and bring him back. So that was just like a... So, you know, not the greatest movie in the world. I mean, again, started off okay, but I wouldn't recommend it. If you see it online and you like Jason Momoa, maybe you'll be interested in it. Not online, but see it late night and can't fall asleep kind of thing. So I'm giving it a 6 for all the reasons that I said. Sorry if this is a little long, but I thought you should be aware of what you could be potentially getting yourself into. I'm surprised that the ratings were so high, but we don't always agree. That's why I'm here. So let me know what you think. Love to hear from you. But thanks for tuning in. That's another movie review from Kimmel's Irish Pub. See ya.